Well, welcome. This is part 2 of our Record Book Challenge, journals. And today what I'd like to do is like to finish off what we started about the sheep example of record books. Not that you'll actually raise sheep, but in case you do, you obviously have a good opportunity to see what happens during the entire raising process. But if you don't, at least you'll have examples so that you can do your own journal for your own project. To get started today, though, I just want to kind of lay out for you what's in store for you if you're going to do a lamb for the month of August. And that will show you also today basically 3 things. What happens to projects that you don't get paid for? And number 2 is what happens if you have another kind of project, like a non-ownership or work experience project. How do you incorporate that? So that's what I want to do today. So on the first day of August, let's say, you're going to make your entry of the weekly feed and care and exercise. You'll be putting 10 hours. Now understand, August is also fair month, so the amount of time that you're going to be spending with that lamb or whatever project you have during fair is going to increase. Then on the 3rd, you're going to go buy some more feed and also shavings because you're going to be taking your lamb to the county fair and you'll be lining it with shavings. So it's going to be a little bit more, $55.67 for 2 bales of hay and a bale of shavings. You probably need more than that, but just for this example, that's what I'm going to use. It's $55.67. It takes about 2 hours of work getting everything squared away, transported, and of course stored away. On the 5th, you've just started a job with somebody else, Owens Apiaries. It's basically for a beekeeper here in town. And let's say your first day was on the 5th and you spent 10 hours and you're going to get $10 an hour. So you're going to actually have some income for a change. So you add $10 to the income part of it. And you don't have any expenses, but definitely you'll be spending 10 hours. Now notice, if you take a look at where I'm putting this, here's the lamb part right here. Now all of this stuff right here that you just installed, you're going to put over here in the Owens Apiaries column. So now you're going to start putting them in the other part of the journal. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like on Owens Apiaries. There you go. Now on the 7th, you're starting to practice showmanship with some other members, and typically it's not uncommon for you to be able to kind of team up. It'll take you 2 or 3 hours, especially if there's 5 or 6 students who kind of want to work on a variety of different things. It's a good idea to work with as a team on this. But it's, again, 3 hours on the Lamb Enterprise and on the Enterprise Ledger, and then on the General Ledger. A lot of this is review, but really take care of an opportunity to look to see where some of these other things go. Weekly feed and care again, 15 hours. You're ramping up your hours. 15 in the Enterprise Ledger side. And then on the 13th, we prune trees for Dad. And here comes a really terrific opportunity. How about those things that you do possibly for your parents that are ag-related? Do you just not do it? Well, sometimes they pay you, sometimes they don't. And if they don't, it goes in the basically the unpaid hours section. And that goes right here in this section right here. So what we're going to do here is, as you can see, you prune the trees for your dad for 5 hours, and you actually put it right here under 5 hours. Notice it's not under the Owens Apiaries or under the Lamb Enterprise. You're going to put in the unpaid hours. That can count because you need 500 hours have to be invested in some kind of agricultural product or project when you're looking at your state degree. And that's kind of what we're trying to look for, primarily because there's scholarship opportunities, job opportunities, if you're keeping accurate records. So as you can see, I put 5 in the 5 unpaid hours. Then the 14th. The 14th, we washed and sheared your lamb, and that's going to take a significant amount of time. Sometimes you have to wash them 2 or 3 times, may even have to shear it a couple of times. But that'll take you about anywhere from 5 to 10 hours, so I just put it under 7 hours. And those are some of the special things you have to do to kind of get ready for a fair and a show. Then on the 15th, wherever you're keeping your pen, you got to clean it all out. Now you pack all your tack, you load it up on the pickup or the ag truck or whatever it is. Then you're going to take it to the fair on the 15th. And that's kind of significant, one of the first large amount of time, days you have to spend, because it takes you 10 hours. You're going to have to weigh in. You may have to register. You're going to have to get your LEMS set up and, excuse me, a pen. There's also some meetings you may have to go to. So it's going to take you 10 hours that day. On the 16th, everybody that's going to a fair is going to have a barn duty where they are going to keep the aisles clean, everything picked up, while other people maybe are shearing or shaving their pigs or whatever it might be. And then, of course, there'll be an exhibitor meeting as well. So that's going to take about 12 hours. So you can see when you go to the fair, it's going to cost you not only in money but also in time. So that's 12 hours on the 16th. Then the 17th, typically it's going to be our show day for sheep. That's a really long day. Lots of excitement going on, lots of enthusiasm, but it will get you tired. That's about a 14-hour day by the time you do the market class and then the showmanship class, and all the time's kind of waiting around for everybody else. But I think you'll enjoy it. It's still an incredible amount of a time commitment on your part. Then on the 18th, again, another barn duty exhibitor meeting. These happen on a regular basis almost every day. And another 12-hour day. This day is a little lighter because there's other shows that you can take in, help other folks out with their own animals. And it's really a good time to get to know some of the other people in your chapter, and even in other chapters as well. Then the 19th, there's the auction, the luncheon, where you can meet some of the buyers, maybe reacquaint yourself with the buyer that you have invited, and sometimes even take you out to lunch there on the grounds. It's usually about a 15-hour day, though, because we start relatively early in the morning at 7, and you're not out of there until 8 or even later. And then the 19th, the same day as the auction, everything else. It takes you about an hour to sell your lamb, and as far as getting them ready, waiting in line, and then, of course, your opportunity up on the stand with the auctioneer. It's incredibly exciting, also a stressful day. But again, it comes down to, let's say you have a 155-pound lamb, you sold it for $725. You look, not a bad day's work. You're getting over $1,000. Now, if you don't do your work, sometimes it's a lot less, and you don't make out quite as well as you'd like to. But if you really pound the pavement, getting people to come out, it's well worth it. And so we're going to say you worked an hour during that time selling it. Then on the 20th, there's an awards breakfast, 6 hours after the breakfast. There's opportunities to clean up, get your tack put away, start taking things home, and then the livestock are loaded up and going on to their next destination, wherever that may be. On the 27th, let's say now you're starting to kind of pick up where you left off on the 5th of August. You're working for the Owens Apiaries Company. You're going to start cutting and spinning and packing honey, and it's basically probably a week's worth of work. So you're working about 36 hours. That's $10 an hour. Again, you're getting a paycheck of $360 for 36 hours, a week's worth of work. Not a bad deal. But where do you put that 360 and 36? Remember, it goes in the Owens Apiaries column, and that's located, let me get it right here, right there. And you're going to put all of those items right across from the general ledger side. So hopefully you can remember that. We're going to be taking a little quick quiz on that day after tomorrow, and I'm just going to give you some samples, and then you're going to have to make a determination whether to put them in the journal, or the calendar, or in the budget, and that should be a pretty good test for you. I think you'll probably do well on it. So we put the 360 in the income column, and then 10 in the hours, or 36 in the hours, and then on the 30th. Again, we did some mowing and cleanup. That's an ag kind of a project, so it is included in this. Even though you're not getting paid for it, that 3 hours is going to go again, as you remember, in the unpaid hours side of the journal. So now here's the fun part. Here's the part that's really going to probably frustrate many of you, especially when it comes time for us to actually do a record book problem on your own. Number one is we're going to go ahead and total all of our hours. So I want you to take a look at these hours and see if you can follow along here. Right here, that 161, that was all of these hours on the general ledger side. That was everything. That's the lamb, that's the Owens apiary, and the unpaid hours right there. All of those three together end up over here on this side. So let's take a look at the 107. Now on the 107 side, we just took the lamb hours and we added those up. That's how I got the 107. But if you look at the 107 here and the 161, that doesn't balance. So where are those other hours? Where do they go? Where can we get the other hours? Well, if we take a look again on, let's look at Owens apiaries. You got 10 hours here, and you got 36 here. So if you add those up, it would be 47. And then you got on the unpaid hours at 5 and 3, and that's an 8. If you add those together, 47 and 8, what we have here is 15, and over here 55 hours. Is that right? Yeah. So let's go ahead and take a look at it when we actually bring the numbers in. 46 there, and 8 over on unpaid hours, and if we add them all up, it should equal 161 hours. That means we add this and this and this together, and so we have 107 and 46. Right there is 13, 5, and 1, and then you add the 8, 1, 6, 1. They balance. That's why we have a double entry system, because all of those need to balance, and that way you can kind of check yourself. So every month you got to balance out your sheets to make sure they match. So let's move on. Now we're going to look at the expense side. There's only one expense on this side, one expense on the other side. They both match, so that balances out. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to be taking a look at all of our incomes. Here's the income here, right there, and right there. So now we have to, what we're going to do next. Now it has to equal that $1,583. So, and again, if you take a look at this one, 11, 23, 75 cents, and we have $460. 100 came from the first day of work. The 360 came from the second day of work. So all together, we have $1,583.75. Guess what? It balances again. So keeping track of them in these columns will help you out immensely. So hopefully that'll help you. Now, the next part, we bring down the $1,583.75, add up 55,374.01, 529.68. As you can see, everything on the bottom on the total of date should match, and as we add them to it, as you can see, those things will match. Now look at the hours though. If we take a look at what we've got here, we added up this, and then the 460, which will drop down, and that equals that. We know that. But how about these numbers right here in the hours columns? 144. We have to get it to match 198. Let's see if we can do that. 46 and 8. And again, if we take a look, we're going to go 144 and 46. And that's 10, 9, 1. And the number is 198. But if you take a look, there's the 8 right there. So we have a grand total of 198. It balances. How about that? We got it all to balance. And I think you can do this as well. And next time that we're going to be having a little chat is going to be on FFA activities. See how many you'll be surprised how many activities you have, and because you have to have 5 different activities at different levels to get your state degree.